Welcome to live. And here's our chat. Yes. All right. Good evening. Hey, Sarah Ann. This is awesome. Welcome to everyone. I'm going to give it a few minutes and then or not even a few seconds, and then we'll get this party started. So I hope everybody's doing great tonight for a Monday. It's kind of an oxymoron, right? Great Monday, but hope it was a great Monday for you. And we are going to talk about fussin' or fixin'. So I'm going to give it just a second because Miller always fusses that we need to give it a second. We need to time that. We never time it. But all right, y'all, let's get this party started. So, are you fussin' or are you fixin'? Tonight, we're going to talk about how you can stop overthinking and start moving forward. All right. So if you watched my recent short, you heard me ask that simple question. Are you fussing or are you fixing? It's really a simple question, but it has the power to completely change how you deal with challenges, frustrations, setbacks, or just that everyday annoyance. So most people don't realize how much energy and time that they're spending on fussing. And when we look at that, we might tell ourselves that we're just thinking things through or processing or I'm venting. But really, what happens is we get our nervous system and brain locked into replaying things over and over and over and not looking for a solution. When we start that playing over and over and over, and when it keeps going, then that can lead to other issues that we need to make sure we can avoid. So tonight, what I want to do is I want to help you recognize when you're stuck in that fussing mode and how to show you to move to fixing mode so you can reclaim your energy and move forward. So what fussing really looks like. And it's really interesting because I've worked with many people. Kids even fuss. So kids all the way to older adults. And this is something that I see time and time again. I see it with people that I have worked with over the years, people who have been clients of mine. But let's really look at what fussing is and see if you can relate to any of these things. So fussing isn't just being concerned about a problem. Like we all have concerns, we all have things that we need to address, but fussing happens when that problem is living rent free in your mind. When you're constantly replaying conversations, when you are overthinking about what someone said and what you could have said differently. You might also find yourself looping about, okay, wait, what did they even mean by that? So you're so hyper focused on the outside, what may have happened, what were they thinking, what might happen next. So you get in this loop of never ending solving. You're just always replaying over and over again. So, and what's interesting is fussing not only can be in our minds, wondering about what if and why did and all those different things, but fussing can show up in your conversations. I don't know if you've ever been that person. I have been that person. I can admit it. There have been times when something has really annoyed me, and no matter who I talk to, they're going to hear about it. So it could be coworkers, it could be friends, it was my own kids, family members, whoever it might be. If something really burned my butt, I was going to tell everybody about it. So here's the interesting part though. It's one thing to tell people about it. It's another thing when it's consuming you. And that's what fussing is. It's this consuming way of dealing with things in where you just keep replaying. And so what's interesting is there's actually been people that I've worked with that they are fussers, even more so than me. And if we would coach other people never to ask, how are you doing? Don't ask how they're doing because you're going to hear 20 minutes of how horrible everything is. And it's typically that repeated story over and over again about this one person and how they might not work or how they don't do their job right or they said these really nasty things. And I get it. There's a lot of those people in the world. But when you constantly replay that in your mind or talk about it, you are not contributing to the solution. You're actually contributing to the problem. So, there's a lot of difference between getting support and repeatedly reliving that problem. So, venting isn't the answer. It actually is part of the problem. So, we need to look at how we can move ourselves forward and not get stuck in that fuss and loop. So, interestingly, our brains will get stuck. They're designed to solve problems, which is awesome, right? So, if you think back in the day, we're living in caves and whatnot, we had to be problem solvers all the time. There was always either something that was going to attack us or something that we needed to accomplish in order to survive that day. So, but what's different now is that our brains can't tell the difference between solving a problem and endlessly rehearsing one. It just knows that it's data coming in. Think about the computer. So, if I turn on my computer and start working on a Google Doc and I'm typing, it's only going to put up what I've typed. It's not gonna do anything different. It doesn't know if it's fact or fiction. It doesn't know if it's a lie or not. Your brain is wired the same way. It doesn't know if what you're reliving, "Well, when she said this, I bet you she really meant that." It doesn't know if that's new data or if that's true data or false. It just knows it's data. So then what happens is every time you revisit those issues or those situations or you replay that in your mind, your brain thinks, okay, whoa, this is really important. I got to pay attention. So the nervous system is activated, right? We might go into that fight or flight or freeze. That stress level rises and your body goes on alert. Now, you have just kicked off a whole concoction of brain chemicals in your body to make you think that, okay, this is bad. We need to figure out what's going on because this could be a threat. When really you're just retelling a situation. I've done it. I've retold situations where I feel myself get fired up all over again. But the difference is what we're looking at tonight is when you fuss, is it that loop? Is it impacting you? So let's change that fuss to fixing. So again, when we're looking at that fussing and that replaying, we are just constantly stuck. We're not finding any relief whatsoever. We're just re-experiencing everything all over again. It's like keeping rewinding and watching the same part of a video over and over and over again. And then a lot of times, if we think about it, it's exhausting. So even if we haven't done anything that day, even if we've been sitting on the couch, whether we're reading, scrolling, watching TV, whatever, we might be exhausted because we can't stop thinking about so and so at work, or we can't stop thinking about what our partner said last night and what did he really mean. So the more you rehearse that problem, the more familiar that problem becomes. And then what happens is what's familiar can unfortunately become permanent. So we got to look at a shift. So let's look at a shift from fussin to fixin. And we're going to recognize first that fixin doesn't mean we suddenly have all the answers. So it's not, oh, okay, I'm just going to turn my brain off and go over here. No, no, no. What it means is that you are willing to focus on a step, even if it's just a step to the right, just move a little bit over. And it's more of an action. So think of it like this. I talk a lot about reacting versus responding. When we get in emotional situations, especially when somebody knows how to hit that button, we tend to react. And when we react, we're emotional. We are sometimes irrational. We're very impulsive. It's very quick. We're not thinking about it, it's coming out. And usually our brain isn't processing as fast as our mouth can go. Guilty. Okay. So when we look at responding, what's different with responding is it's non emotional, it's taking a step back, it's being a little more rational, it's thinking things through prior to talking. And that's pretty much the same between fussing and fixing. When we're fussing, it's emotional. We're reliving it. We're upset. Doggone it, they did me wrong. And I'm upset about it. And here's the reasons why. Da 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 da. It's like we have to prove our point or our case. Where fixing shifts it a bit. Like, okay, hang on, let me take a step back. And what can I control about this situation? One of the most interesting things is I've seen it time and time again. I've worked in schools for 28 years. I've seen a number of very interesting relationships and conflicts in schools. I find, unfortunately, and I'd love to know how or why. And I've lived in different areas, so I can't really blame it on the area or the school. I've worked in, wow, a lot of schools. Um, but when I look at schools, there's so many people fussing. So many teachers get caught in this loop. They get caught in the loop of the kids are bad, the parents are bad, administration's bad. I even have some teachers that complain about summer being bad. Um, and it's amazing to me because they'll gripe about the same thing, but they'll never choose to do anything different. So that's what I'm going to challenge today is let's shift our attention from from the problem to the response. So again, let me back up. Fixing shifts your attention from the problem to the response. So instead of being external and looking at all the stuff they did wrong, which hey, people do things that are wrong. I'm going to take a step back for a minute and look at how I'm responding to that situation. And that way, I have a little bit of control over what's going on. So I can't control everything that happens to me. Heck, I can hardly control anything that happens to me, but I can have some control over what happens next. Okay. So I can't always control what comes to me, but I can control what I do with it. So here's some of the things. Let's look at a situation and we can say, am I learning something new or am I replaying the old? So if I start talking to somebody about that annoying coworker who does nothing all day and I can't figure out honestly how she collects a paycheck because I seem to be doing all the work while she's got her feet up and doing nothing. So am I constantly talking about that? Or am I saying, okay, that might annoy me or upset me or frustrate me, but I'm not going to let it anymore. Instead, I'm going to focus on what I can control and what I can do. So if it's the 10th time that you've thought about that annoying coworker, you might be fussing. Or if it's the 14th time that you've seen somebody in the hallway and you've talked about it, you might be fussing. So then what we need to look at is this situation really mine to address? Well, in the case of the annoying coworker, it is mine to address because I don't need to be fixated on her. But I can take that situation to the higher ups and say, "Hey, I feel like I have a lot on my plate and I'm wondering if there's something that can be shifted here, but here you go. Here's the problem." Again, I'm not absorbing it. I'm not replaying it 100 times. I'm actually handing it off to somebody else because that's my choice and that's my response and that's my next step is being able to not absorb it, but to give it to somebody else. So then I need to also look at what can I do in the next 24 hours? Like, is there something small that I can do to break that cycle of that loop in my mind? Here it is right here. I have this little handy dandy fidget spinner. Remember all the fidget spinners and how much we love them, especially teachers. So think of it like that. Fussin is just your brain in overdrive. Okay. It's spinning. When we fix, we're stopping that loop and we're putting it down and we're saying, okay, whoa, what's one thing that I can do in order to move forward? And it's something small. So what can I do in the next 24 hours? Can I have a conversation with somebody? Do I need to send an email? Establish a boundary. Maybe it's a decision or it's something small that can create momentum in me. Maybe instead of eating lunch with all the people that talk bad about the one who never works, maybe it's eating somewhere else, or maybe it's shifting the conversation, or it's setting boundaries. Those are super, super, super important. So the first thing that all of us need to do is recognize what we're focused on, right? Because we all fuss sometimes. I Trust me, in the last couple days, I've fussed a lot, but I'm worried. I'm worried. I'm working on the fact that I do care about people. I do care about outcomes and situations, but there's things I can control and things I need to let go of. So if I recognize that I am looping something in my mind and replaying a problem over and over again, it's not helping. It's not helping anyone. It's not helping me. It's not helping the situation. And it obviously will just drain you. So the goal isn't to ignore the problem. The goal is to stop giving those problems all this attention that they really don't deserve. So, really, what I want you to do is over the next week, anytime you catch yourself replaying that problem more than once, like a couple times, just pause and ask, am I fussing or am I fixing? Because if you're fussing, don't beat yourself up. Just recognize that pattern and redirect that attention and ask yourself, okay, what can I do next? And what's mine to even do next? Progress doesn't happen when we obsess over a problem. It happens when we take action towards a solution. All right. So take a look at things, see what you're contributing to, and make some adjustments. That it's really simple. It's that simple to take those small steps to get you where you want to be. So I hope this was helpful and I hope you can relate. And if you need anything, let me know. But until next time, be encouraged. Oh, why did it say unstable? All right. Well, thank you guys for showing up. I appreciate it. Ooh, that went longer than I thought. But that was awesome. I'm going to turn this into a video as well. There it is. Yes, recognize the problem and then take action. All too often, I mean, trust me, I can fuss like nobody's business. And I even caught myself wanting to fuss about something way out of my control. It has nothing to even really do with me. It was almost fussing just to prove that somebody has done a lot of wrong things. And then I had to stop myself like, okay, doesn't even relate to me. So hopefully you can move from fussin' to fixin'. And yes. All right, y'all. Have a great night. Thank you so much.